What's going on, guys? This is Martyrs Brigade 99 coming to you once again with another session of Dark Souls PvP. Alright guys, we're back at it in the forest for a video that I like to title Counterattacking with Leo. Now, just by listening to that title, hopefully a lot of you experienced guys may know what I'm talking about. Now, in the event that you're relatively new to the game in general, but new to PvP in particular, what exactly does that title mean? Well, first off, what I mean by Leo, we're talking about the Leo ring. Now, if you guys are paying attention to the icon that I have in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, that is the same icon that the Hornet ring has, right? But in the Brigade, we don't use the ridiculous Hornet ring. Well, at least not anymore, right? Can't say that we've never used it, because actually when I first started PvP, and I was one of those Hornet ring rapier type of guys. Right, but you know, in a few short months we have evolved in the Brigade. So now I try to focus more so on using a wide variety of builds and playing those builds relative to its purpose. Now, what exactly do I mean? This is my Leo ring build, and the purpose of this build is to get as many counterattacks as I can, so as to get the most benefit of the Leo ring. So, while I'll be doing a whole bunch of running and parrying attempts and all of that, I might attempt some parries, right? But that's not the focus of this build. Basically, I am a tank counter-reactive build. Counter-reactive meaning I am looking for opportunities for my opponents to attack so that I can get the counterattack bonus that comes with the Leo rings. That's basically what this build is all about, right? So if you guys kind of get bored easily, you might not want to watch this vid, because basically all I'm going to be doing is counterattacking. Now, does that mean I'm just going to be sitting back and turtling? Never that. Does it mean that I'm just going to be sitting back and circling and almost never attacking? Never that. But what I am saying is it may not necessarily be as exciting as some of the other builds, because for the most part I'm medium rolling. But the main purpose of this video is to demonstrate the potential of the Leo ring. Now, good old Epic Name Bro, shout out to him. He's one of those, basically I would say he's more of a PvE guy than anything. You know, he's kind of into the backstory and all of that. Anyway, he did a nice presentation of a video that is pretty informative with regards to the Leo ring. But see, with him basically being a PvE guy, of course he directed a lot of his information and demonstrated it in the form of PvE. Well, guess what, guys? In the Brigade, you know, we think the lore is cool and all. You know, it's nice for a good bonfire story and all of that. But in the Brigade, we're all about PvE, right? We don't really care about PvE. PvE is, you know, it's cool. You know, it's exciting and all of that. But I'm all about competition with my high-speed online buddies. Right? So this is why. Now, this won't be like a formal instructional. It's more of a demonstration of the potential of the Leo ring. Now, what exactly is the Leo ring for a lot of you guys that don't know? First off, is a ring that you get over in Orlando. Once you get the boss fight of Smo and Ornstein, to the extent that you get rid of the fat guy first, right, you'll only have one opponent to take care of. Once you take care of him, you will be awarded with the Leo ring. Right, so you take care of Ornstein last, you will be awarded with the Leo ring. Now, what exactly does the Leo ring do? It adds a bonus to critical attacks. Now, based upon the description, I think this is only for thrusting weapons. I'm not really sure if you can do it with other weapons to the extent that you're able to counterattack. I haven't tested it. So basically what I did was I created a build. And actually this is my first Leo Ring build. I'll probably create one or two more to kind of figure out how exactly I want to do it. Because I was thinking about trying to come up with the Leo Ring slash Red Tearstone Ring combination, which would definitely be dangerous. Right now, I'll kind of get into the specifics a little later, but it will definitely be dangerous. Or I was just thinking about perhaps coming up with the Leo Ring build that maybe not the Black Iron set. I mean, I was kind of thinking about the, what set is that? The Steel set, right? Because I know you rarely see anyone rocking the Steel set, so I figured I'll kind of give the Steel set some love, you know, the set that you find over in Sin's Fortress. Right. All right, now let me kind of draw your attention, you guys' attention to some observations. Now, I am using a plus 15 halberd. In most cases, I will be two-handing it. Now, a regular two-hand attack will inflict somewhere around, I'll say 410 at the lowest and maybe 425 at the highest. If you notice, you know, although I will throw some attacks in there, see, case in point, 415. Although I will throw some attacks in there, I'm basically waiting for my opponent to attack so that I can attack basically at the same time, right? Because in most cases, when I'm able to do that, I get the critical bonus from the Leo Ring. Now, that's kind of hard to explain, but you guys should really pay attention to the video. Just pay close attention to the damage. Notice when I'm attacking and when I'm getting the bonus. Now, with the regular two-handed attack being somewhere around, I would say the lower to mid, actually I won't even say mid, I would say the lower 400s. You guys will see a two-handed attack either with the plus 15 halberd or the plus 15 what's that, Lucerne, because actually I use that as well, actually going up to the 700s in damage. Now, good old Epic Name Bro, he kind of did a demonstration where he's kind of rocking the buffs. Not only did he have a buff, but he was also using the Power Within. We won't be using any Power Within, although I can imagine with me using a halberd, Power Within, and a buff, I mean, I could perhaps kill some of these guys as far as the PvP is concerned. But this is my first time experimenting with the build, so we're basically going to stick with a plus 15 Lucerne and a plus 15 halberd. Now, let's kind of talk about the Lucerne for a little bit. I experimented with it for a full week. Right? I read a lot of comments of guys saying that it's an awesome weapon, is this and is that. This may be true, but let me kind of add my own perspective. I think the Lucerne is good in that it has the potential to inflict the same amount of damage as the halberd, the standard halberd. But what I do not like after giving it what I would consider to be sufficient amount of time and practice is that the hammer attack, you know, the kind of vertical smash down hammer like attack, really does not take advantage of the length of the weapon. So in other words, whereas you're able to get a good thrusting forward action with the halberd, you really don't see that benefit with the Lucerne. So in some cases, you know, whereas you think, you know, you see it as being a long weapon and you figure, okay, well, even though I may do the hammer smash down attack, I should be able to reach because it's relatively long. That is not necessarily the case. So that's kind of one thing I do not like about the Lucerne. Other than that, is our two attack, both one-handed and two-handed, is pretty strong. And although you do kind of have to time the R1 attacks with the Lucerne, they're equally effective. Right? When I say equally, I mean equal to the halberd. Now, In my personal opinion, in order to make the Lucerne as effective as possible, you need that Leo ring. Now, why exactly do I say that? The main reason that I say that is for the reasons that I just cited. Number one, you don't really get to take advantage of the length of the Lucerne because you get more of a hammer smash down attack. So, in the event that you're relatively close to your opponent and you can kind of estimate when they're going to attack you, that thing can inflict like 750 damage. Now, keep in mind that this is also relative to my stats. I have 40 in dexterity and 37 in strength for this particular build. Now, maybe I may get a build, with the standard, 16 strength minimum and the 40 dexterity, just to give some of you dexterity guys an idea as to potential damage you can inflict. But as for now, this is basically my medium rolling build. Right, it only has 45 vitality, I think 50 endurance, mainly because I'm not rocking the Havel ring. Right, so to be able to get the medium roll with the full black iron set, and to be able to carry a six unit weapon, that being either the Lucerne or the halberd, my buckler, a composite bow, and I'm using the war pick. Right, war pick is definitely a weapon that you rarely see, but it is a thrusting weapon. Now, alternative weapons. I basically for this build picked all the weapons that had thrusting attacks. Now, I didn't pick the claymore, for which the R2 attack, well actually the R2 one-handed attack is actually a thrusting action. I just didn't pick it, right, because I wanted to focus on the weapons in the halberd class, and actually that was a nice parry right there. Now, the funny thing about this build, like I said before, I've basically been using it for, I'll say a little bit over a week. And, I'll say I gave the halberd a full week of practice. Well, actually not the halberd, I'm sorry. I've gave the Lucerne a full week of practice, and I've just kind of mixed it in with the halberd for another week. Right, so basically I've been kind of practicing with the Lucerne, actually with the Leo ring for about 2 weeks now. And the funny thing about it is some of the guys that I will fight, they'll say, holy crap, dude, what are your stats? Like, what are you doing? Is that a crystal weapon? What exactly are you doing to hit so hard? And, basically I'll just kind of give them a, laugh out loud or something like that. But for all of you guys that, kind of fought me within the last week or so, and you kind of caught me with the halberd, here's the secret, guys. I was rocking the Leo ring. Now, suggestions for those who might want to use the Leo ring. I would kind of recommend the Leo ring for some of these guys that want to get critical bonuses, but are not necessarily backstab fishers. But at the same time, you're not all that hot with regard to parrying. This would be the perfect build in my personal opinion. Because if you notice, I'm not attempting parries. Right? And this is done on purpose because the focus for this build, as I've said before, is not doing all these hot shot moves. I'm trying to demonstrate, and actually not only demonstrate, I'm trying to get the timing right for counterattacks. Right? That's the purpose of this build, and that's what I'm going to be doing for this build. So, I really think that this build would be excellent for a new player. It's not really into backstabbing all the time, but you really want to inflict a lot of damage. First and foremost, learn how to counter hit. Right? Learn how to counterattack. Just as with the parrying. A lot of guys will tell you, if you want to be a good parrier and you're not necessarily going to be doing the setup parry method, kind of estimate when your opponent is going to attack and you parry. Well, guess what, guys? That's the same suggestion that I will give you for the Leo ring and the counterattacking properties. You kind of want to estimate when you think your opponent is going to attack you, and with a thrusting motion, you need to engage. Right? You definitely need to engage. Now, if you notice, none of those were counterattacks. Those were just regular hits. How do I know? Because the damage inflicted was somewhere in the low 400s. But if you guys pay close attention to the damage output that I'm able to give in several instances, you guys will see several times that I'm hitting in the 700s. And think about a combo, right? Let's just say you're able to hit one counterattack, and perhaps you follow up with one other attack. Well, guess what, guys? You're inflicting damage somewhere around 1100. Right? So, I mean, the possibilities with this Leo ring are what I would consider to be endless. Because think about it. I'm only playing pretty much, counterattack moves in this video because I'm just trying to demonstrate something. But let's just say I incorporate everything. Right? Let's just say I'm attempting parries as well. Right? So, in other words, I can pop you off with a parry, get you at around 1,000 damage, depending upon the weapon, sometimes 900. Or I can hit you with the counterattack benefits that you get with the Leo ring, which could sometimes also get one hit in the 800s. And like I said before, that's not even with a buff, right? That's just regular plus 15 weapons with 40 dexterity and 37 strength. Now, am I suggesting that that's how you should create your builds? Not at all. I'm just saying this is the build that I'm creating. Now, like I said before, I'm thinking about experimenting with the steel armor set. You almost never see anyone rocking the steel armor set. And, like I've said before, just to be a little different. But that for the pretty much will be my Leo ring build, right? And I think I'm going to stick with the halberd, standard halberd, and the lucerne, and the war pick, same way that I have right now. The only difference is I'm going to be using a different armor set. And actually, because I fought a couple guys, and basically they're saying, well, the only reason why you're successful is because you're stacking poise. It's like, dude, it has nothing to do with medium rolling and stacking poise. Main reason why I'm inflicting all the damage is because I'm counterattacking with the Leo ring. And it's funny because sometimes people, when they lose, they just want to discredit the result, by trying to imply in some way that you're cheating or you're doing something that's, undermining them. No, dude. Sometimes you have to acknowledge that you got outplayed. Now, am I talking about these guys that are constantly backstab fishing? No. I mean, does it really take a lot to backstab fish over and over? Not in my opinion. But in some cases, you just got outplayed. Now, when you're dealing, you guys just see that? 874. Did you guys just notice that? So yeah, he's hitting me with the run-up parry method. And one thing I want to say about that run-up parry method, to some of you guys who do that, it works sometimes, guys. But guess what? You guys see that? 612 damage. And actually, that wasn't the full potential. Because one thing that I have noticed is sometimes you do get a bonus from hitting people with a thrusting attack when they're rolling, or they're kicked back and you're able to hit them just before they're able to recover. I have noticed this. Right? So one suggestion that I would offer to some of you guys, maybe watch the first few minutes of this video. Or actually, I won't even say first, you guys. Just see that damage? 700. Actually, let me take that back. I won't even say the first few minutes. Watch this video in its entirety. And after you watch this video in its entirety, go ahead and check out Epic Name Bros video. And after you check out Epic Name Bros Leo ring video, come on back to this one. Right? Because like I said, he's kind of all into the details, and he'll give you exactly what you can do to be able to have a successful counterattack. Right? He'll kind of give you the whole scenario, the whole 9 yards. I'm not going into all of that. I'm just trying to give you guys a nice demonstration, a practical demonstration for you guys to kind of see the results on your own. So for a lot of you guys that, all into the details, check out his vid. If you kind of want to just see a demonstration and the potential during PvP, guess what? You're right at home. Right? Alright, so shout out to good old Oxycontin. Actually, I had a series of matches with him. He was basically a great sword, great combustion user. And actually, I think we fought last month or something like that. And if you notice, I fought him before, so he's a little hesitant to try to spam that R1 with his little high-speed Falcon. And actually, once guys realize the damage that you're inflicting with that Leo ring, they are a little hesitant to hit you with that spamming their R1, especially these katana users. You know, I found that the Leo ring and this basic halberd combination is almost perfect for those guys. Because think about it. You guys see that damage? Think about it. A lot of those katana dudes, they love hitting you with the sprinting R1 attack. Guess what, guys? If you time that sprinting R1 perfectly with the halberd and the Leo ring, in some cases you could take like half their vitality. Because think about it. Some guys have somewhere around, I would say, anywhere between 1,400 to 1,800 HP, right? So you hit them with one counterattack. You guys see that? 700 plus damage. You hit them with one counterattack with a halberd and a Leo ring. Dude, that's like 700 damage, right? So if they have 1,800 vitality, you basically have brought them down to 1,000, a little more than 1,000. You hit them one other time, I mean, it's almost a wrap, right? So for a lot of you guys that are kind of new to the game, you know, you don't want to backstab fish, but at the same time you want to inflict a lot of damage, go ahead, break you out a basic halberd or a lucerne. Actually I would suggest for you to use a secondary thrusting weapon, right? Some of you guys might like the Baldur swag sword. Me personally, I prefer the war pick, mainly because you almost never see it, right? And in the brigade, we like to kind of experiment with weapons that you don't see all the time. And you're good to go, right? You can medium roll. Now, if some of you guys kind of found a high-speed way to fast roll, I mean, you can have at it. But guess what, guys? I have had a lot of success with my two-handed halberd and just medium rolling. Now, keep in mind that you have a whole bunch of, I guess they call themselves pros, but you have a whole bunch of guys out there who will fish for roll BSs once they see you with the halberd. Right, because actually I had a series of matches with a guy and I was medium rolling, right? Pure melee, medium roll. And as a matter of fact, it was this particular build. And he was fast rolling. He had pyromancies and he had sorceries. And he's basically like, sometime, I really need that roll BS. And I'm thinking to myself like, dude, roll BS, are you serious? I'm medium rolling. I have no castings, and all I have is a halberd. Dude, if you can't tighten me up with intelligence, your pyromancy, and fast roll, come on now, just go ahead and kind of brush up on your tactics. Right? And I would suggest that for anybody. Don't think, like I've said in a number of my videos, that, you need to always stick with the easiest technique. Anyone can kind of, sit back and wait for someone to attack and hit them with the roll BS. It's a little more difficult when you have to kind of time your attacks, kind of time your parries, time your castings, use a wide variety of castings. Unlike some people who, like I've said in the past, they'll call themselves a pyro build, even though the only pyro that they're using is a great combustion. It takes a little more practice and a little more proficiency to be able to get good at these techniques. And like I said before, who wants to limit themselves to great combustion, for a pyromancer? Or who wants to limit themselves to a Wrath of the Gods for a faith build? When you have I can't say infinite possibilities, but your possibilities are so vast. Why even limit yourself? And this is what we try to do in the brigade. We try to maximize our potential in all builds, right? because I've demonstrated on several occasions that I'm pretty decent with the dex build. I'm pretty good with the caster builds, right? Whether it be a pyromancer or a hybrid faith mage or a hybrid faith pyrocaster. I try to get proficient in all of those types of builds. Even with the strength weapons, right? I went on this whole kick about strength weapons. You know, case in point, how often do you really see Black Knight halberds? In the past, you didn't really see that many. But I'm starting to see a good number of guys kind of experiment with different weapons. And I think to the extent that it is somewhat due to some of the showcases that I have done, I feel like I am doing exactly what I aim to do. You guys see that damage? Was that 731? It's kind of hard for me to see, don't wear glasses, but I think that was 731 in damage. But to the extent that I have been able to inspire a number of players to kind of think outside the box and experiment with a wide variety of weapons and different attack strategies, I feel I'm pretty much satisfied with that, because that's my goal, right? And as long as that's my goal and I'm noticing that people are experimenting with it, I feel like I am doing exactly what I should be doing and mission accomplished. Right? So yeah, now I get a lot of questions with regard to these ridiculous spear users. Guess what, guys? My personal opinion, the Leo ring thrust weapon combination is perfect for these guys. You notice that? You guys just see that? 2 hits, 1100 damage. And guess what? I'm not flipping around with the Darkwood grain ring, right? I am medium rolling with a halberd, because a lot of those guys with the spears, in most cases, they're Darkwood grain ring users. But not all the time. I'm not going to always harp on the Darkwood grain ring guys. But in most cases, you know, what they do is they try to poke and roll, poke and roll, poke and roll, poke and roll. Guess what, guys? You don't have to chase them around with your little fast roll or your Darkwood grain ring. All you do is two-hand either your pike, which is a thrust weapon, your halberd, obviously a thrust weapon, or your lucerne, which is a thrust weapon. And you kind of time, right, just when you think they're going to poke, and you engage, right? And I can almost guarantee you will almost never be intimidated by these ridiculous spear users, right? Because, you know, a lot of times guys will ask me, they'll say, dude, I mean, what exactly do you do for those spear users? And I say, well, one thing that I do, I try to keep the distance close, and I try to parry them. And, you know, some guys will say, dude, I mean, I understand that's you, but everybody's not all that hot in parrying. What suggestion do you have? Now, this is what I would suggest. Pull you out a thrusting weapon and a high-speed Leo ring, and you're good to go. Never again will you have to worry about those ridiculous spear users. See? Or those ridiculous... Now, once I figure out a way to get rid of these ridiculous roll BSers, I think I'll be good to go. Right? I still haven't been able to find a foolproof counter to that. Right? So I'll just have to deal with it as long as they exist. Right? Alright guys, well, actually I have more footage, but I really didn't want to bore you guys to death with 2 long videos featuring the Leo ring. So I'll kind of check out the comments if you guys kind of like the material. I'll upload part 2 of the Counteracting with Leo video. Alright guys, well, I hope you guys enjoyed the footage. Martyrs Brigade is out.